Okay, hello. The topic being discussed today is illegal street racing. My opponent made the claim that the Fast and the Furious movie series contributes to illegal street racing. And he supported these with the notions that Fast and the Furious inaccurately depicts street racing, making it seem safe. Fast and the Furious presents viewers with an illegitimate outlet for their hobby. Fast and the Furious, or police nationwide are cracking down on this problem of illegal street racing. And his fourth form of support are testimonials from the families of street racing victims. So I will review against these points and support my own claim that Fast and the Furious deters illegal street racing. So before I move on to the points, I'd like to make a comment on something he made in his intro. He said that he made a comment about a SEMA report about the retail sales for sport compact cars increasing by 59%, with 72% of consumers between the ages of 16 and 25. I believe this is insufficient evidence as it provides no link between the purchase of race cars and the link between that and the Fast and the Furious movie series. Because the cars could be bought for aesthetic pleasure only and not for the purpose of legally racing. More evidence is needed to prove that the cars are being bought for the ability on the streets, to race on the streets and not to show off. Okay, moving on to his first supporting claim that the Fast and the Furious movie inaccurately depicts street racing, making it seem safe. He starts off by saying that the movie portrays the protagonist illegally street racing, finishing the race unscathed and safe. And I feel that Fast and the Furious in fact accurately depicts street racing. The result almost always ends up in something being damaged, be it vehicle or building or people harmed, be it drivers or innocent pedestrians. According to the plot summary of Fast and the Furious on Internet Movie Database, the racers are actually from street gangs who do illegal operations in order to make money, including racing illegally and committing crimes such as stealing. The ultimate outcome for the gangs is arrest and prison sentences. So if people want to copy the stunts that are done in the movie, they know their actions put them at risk for big fines or even jail time. He also states that the film depicts the stunt drivers expertly weaving in and out of choreographed traffic, spelling it out for impressionable teenagers to imitate. People don't weave because they are racing. It is because they are in a rush to get to their destination. According to a survey done by CaliforniaHighways.org on people in Southern California who received traffic violation tickets, they found that 91% of people's reasons for getting their ticket was actually because they were in a hurry to get to where they wanted. Only 3% of people said that they got a ticket because they were racing. This shows that watching Fast and the Furious has little effect on legal traffic violations. It is the people themselves who are in a hurry that results in getting tickets. He finally says in this claim that the movie also neglects the innocent lives of those that are just on the road for day-to-day activities. Innocent lives are not being neglected in Fast and the Furious. The effect that racers have on their victims are clearly shown. People are screaming and panicking when the racers pass through them. The innocents get into car accidents as a result of the racers. Fast and the Furious doesn't neglect the rights of the innocent people affected. It shows that everyone's lives are at stake when illegal street racing is performed. Fast and the Furious actually deters street racing instead of promoting it. So his second claim is that Fast and the Furious presents viewers with an illegitimate outlet for their hobby. And he says that there is an abundance of available tracks and drag strips all over the country to race on. People are actually racing, or already racing on the track. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, whose main goal is to abolish street racing, illegal street racing, they said that after the release of the fourth Fast and the Furious movie, almost 2 months ago on April 3, racing in general has increased by 30% since the very first Fast and the Furious movie came out in 2001. Of that 30%, 28% was an increase of track-related racing. Only 2% was an increase of illegal street racing. It is a surprising statistic that proves that the movies are actually promoting racing, but more on the track rather than the streets. So his third claim is that police nationwide are cracking down on this problem, and he says that they're spending millions of training officers to recognize street racers before it happens. He says that the advocate makes the assumption that Fast and Furious already contributes to legal street racing. He basically makes the claim true, and proof of the claim is still being disputed in the argument. It is the mistake of circular reasoning. He says that the police are cracking down on the problem when that problem, illegal street racing, is what needs to be established first. The evidence of the police being trained then becomes irrelevant to supporting the main claim that Fast and the Furious contributes to racing. So his fourth claim is that using testimonials from the families of street racing victims. The testimonies used by the advocate are not sufficient enough to show that Fast and the Furious promotes street racing. The racers who were found guilty of killing people on the road due to racing could have been racers before the movie was even released. There was no link made between the victims and the movie. The advocate connects the testimonies to racers, proving that life is not real, real life is not like Hollywood, and it is very dangerous. Again, the testimonies are not sufficient enough to show that the racers were influenced at all by the movie. So in conclusion, due to my counter evidence on his claim that Fast and Furious inaccurately depicted street racing, and it presents viewers an illegitimate outlet for their hobby, and his mistakes in reasoning for the police nationwide cracking down on the problem, and the testimonials from the families of street racing victims, I find that my claim that Fast and Furious deters illegal street racing is valid.
All right, you label the advocate's claims pretty clearly. The secondary points are labeled. You're going to make a counterclaim on deterrence. I think I'm expecting a little bit more information about how people are moved onto the tracks as a consequence of this, or how, in fact, they're discouraged from engaging in this behavior. And I didn't really get much of that. I did get a good analysis of the arguments presented by the advocate, though, and you challenge their reasoning pretty well. The signpost on the first point was very clear. This is where you had the most information in your argument. There's a discussion of what the consequences were, and I thought you did pretty well on that. Interesting information on the weaving argument. I thought that's interesting data to dig up, and it seems to apply to the issue, although I'm not sure it's automatically mutually exclusive, because it doesn't suggest, although it suggests in totality weaving might be primarily people rushing to get in their way, it doesn't address what percentage of the people who are doing street racing engage in the weaving thing. So it's a good argument, but I'm not sure that it addresses the issue there. I did think, for instance, when you talked about the accidents being depicted and the screaming people in the movie, for instance, that I would have liked the citation that you had from the IMDb earlier to be coming up here. On the second claim, I thought that you had a good statistic. The data seems to be pretty significant. If the percentage, if there's been a 30% increase in this kind of racing, and only 2% of it takes place on the streets and 28% is on the tracks, I think that does a good job at minimizing the advocate's argument on that point. I would need to hear the evidence being quoted more directly to make sure that that's the inference I should be drawing there. On the whole, on the third point, it's basically an argument about relevance. It takes you a while to get to the point that you're making, that it's about relevance, but you do finally get to it. All the other information, I think, just kind of clutters the point that you're trying to make there. And sufficiency is the claim on the last point. It would be a good idea if you had some of those testimonies that the advocate used, and you could cite them specifically, how they failed to make reference to the influence of the movie. There's not much doubt that people have suffered negative consequences as a result of street racing, for instance, but the link to Fast and the Furious I thought was a good challenge to make at that point. All right, thank you.